People say snow hides everything, but I've learned it does the opposite. It shows you exactly what shouldn't be there. This happened last winter, late January, during a night shift week that had completely wrecked my sleep schedule. I worked security at a warehouse just outside town. It's the kind of place surrounded by empty land and tree lines that disappear into darkness after sunset. That night, the snow came out of nowhere. One minute the sky was clear, the next it was dumping thick, heavy flakes that swallowed sound and light. By the time my shift ended around 2 a.m., the roads were nearly empty. I took the long way home without thinking, until I reached an old service road cutting through a wooded area near my neighborhood. It wasn't technically closed, but no one used it in winter. I parked near the entrance because the snow was already too deep to drive through safely. The walk was only supposed to be 10 minutes. As soon as I stepped out of the car, the silence hit me. Snow has a way of making the world feel abandoned, like everything living has stepped aside. The only sound was the crunch of my boots. I walked for a few minutes, watching my breath fog up in the beam of my flashlight, when I felt that unmistakable sensation of being followed. It wasn't fear at first, more like awareness, like your body noticing something your mind hasn't caught up with yet. I stopped walking. The crunching stopped too. Turned around, heart pounding, but there was nothing there. Just trees and falling snow. I laughed under my breath and told myself I was tired and overthinking things. I kept going. After a few steps, the sound came back, but something was wrong about it. The crunching was slightly delayed, like an echo that didn't belong. Stopped again. Silence. My chest felt tight now. I raised my flashlight and aimed it at the ground behind me. That's when I saw it. There was only one set of footprints in the snow. A clean, uninterrupted trail leading from my car straight to where I stood. No second set. No disturbance. Just mine. The delayed footsteps didn't make sense. But before I could think any further, I heard breathing. Not my own. It was close, right behind me, slow and steady, like someone standing inches away. I couldn't feel wind, couldn't see movement, but I could hear it clearly. Then a voice whispered next to my ear, low and calm. "You're doing a good job keeping the path clear." My body reacted before my mind did. I ran. I didn't look back, didn't stop, didn't care if I fell. I burst out of the trees and into the open road, slipping and gasping for air. When I finally reached my car, I locked the doors and sat there shaking for a long time before driving home. The next morning, I convinced myself it had been exhaustion or stress. I even felt stupid telling myself it couldn't have been real. But something kept eating at me, so I went back with a friend later that day. The snow had stopped, but the ground was still untouched. We walked the same path. There were my footprints from the night before, frozen solid. No others, no signs of struggle, no explanation. I don't walk there anymore. And every time it snows, I think about that voice and how it spoke like it had been waiting for someone to finally leave a trail. There's a reason people hate being alone at night in the snow. Everything feels suspended, like the world is holding its breath. This happened during my second year of college when I still relied on public transportation to get home. Winter nights were the worst because the buses ran late and the stops felt abandoned. My final stop was the last one on the route, located beside an open field that stretched out into nothing but trees. No houses nearby, no shops, just a shelter, a bench, and a flickering streetlight. One night, a heavy snowstorm rolled in faster than expected. The bus was delayed nearly 20 minutes. I stood there alone, pulling my coat tighter, watching the snow pile up around my boots. That's when I noticed someone else standing near the edge of the light. A man, maybe in his 30s, wearing a dark jacket and no hat despite the cold. He wasn't pacing or shivering, he was just standing there, staring in my direction. After a moment, he smiled. It wasn't threatening exactly, but it didn't reach his eyes. When the bus finally arrived, I climbed on quickly, relieved to be out of the cold. As I dropped my pass into the reader, I felt someone step up behind me. I turned slightly and saw the same man, close enough that I could smell cold air on his clothes. I moved down the aisle and sat near the front. He didn't sit. He just stood in the aisle, gripping a pole, still smiling faintly. The bus started moving. The driver glanced at me through the mirror and frowned. "You're the only one getting off at the end, right?" he asked, confused. I nodded and said, "Yeah, why?" He hesitated, then said, "Because I could have sworn I saw someone else get on, but my mirror says otherwise." I looked back. The man was gone. The aisle was empty. There was nowhere he could have gone without passing me. My skin crawled. I tried to speak, but before I could, I heard a voice whisper from the seat beside me, even though it was empty. "You weren't supposed to notice me." My heart slammed in my chest. The bus felt suddenly smaller, tighter, like the air had thickened. I stared straight ahead until the bus slowed at my stop. I jumped up and practically fell out the door. The bus pulled away immediately, leaving me alone in the snow again, as I stood there shaking. I noticed footprints leading away from the stop and into the field. Only one set. They ended abruptly, as if whoever made them had simply vanished. I walked home as fast as I could and didn't sleep that night. I later asked the transit authority about that route. They told me something unsettling. A man had been hit and killed near that bus stop years earlier during a snowstorm, and ever since then, drivers sometimes reported seeing an extra passenger on their mirrors who was never actually there. I take a different route now. Even if it adds time, I'd rather be late than sit next to someone who shouldn't be on the bus at all.